I've got new land out in Chelan, Washington. This is some really cool property right next to the Columbia River in Lake Chelan, over in Douglas County, Washington. I'm going to be sharing a 20 acre with you. I'll talk about the 40 acre and I'll talk about the 80 acre. For the sake of this conversation, let's jump into this 80 acre property. My name's Miles McLaughlin here at Wilco Land. In this video, I'm going to break down this listing. I'm going to talk about all the land that we own right here, some potential uses and the target audience of these properties, where they're located, all that good stuff, and answer a lot of FAQs that our customers have. So to start, we own 80 acres just outside of Chelan, Washington. Really a cool property. I think it'd be a really fun spot for like RV setups, tiny homes, things like that, or even some cabins up on these cliffs. They're going to have some really cool views, and there is access to it too. So what we have is we actually have 4 contiguous 20 acre properties in Douglas County, Washington. It totals 80 acres. So you'll see us advertising 40 acres, 80 acres, 20 acres. I'm going to talk about all 4 20 acre properties. So those who are interested in 20 acres by itself, they can pick and choose what 20 acre they like best. Somebody who's interested in maybe 40 acres, even 60 or 80 acres, we are willing to sell it as a full package at a discounted price. You know, we're in the business of moving land fast. That's our business. That's our niche. So I'll talk about that a little bit more with you guys. Just to kick this video off, I'll go through some of these photos here in a second too to show you what we're looking at. But just to kick this off, you know, this isn't legal advice. This isn't real estate advice. This is me simply sharing my thoughts and opinions and what I know about the property through my experience and my own due diligence. You as a buyer are going to need to confirm the information and make sure the property is the right fit for you. Here at Wilco Land, we sell all of our property as is. In this video, I'm going to dive into easements. I'm going to talk about access and all that good stuff. And lastly, at the end of the video, I'm going to talk about how you can go view the property on your own. We do offer more of a self-service model for land viewings. Okay. So getting started here, some of these photos aren't quite loading for me. Let's go back to the photos. I want to show you, we'll go back to the photos in a second because there's some really good imagery that I want to show you. But first off, I like to show folks where the land's located. So we're looking down here just outside of Howard, Washington. Here's the Columbia River. And then here's Chelan, Washington, and Lake Chelan. So really a cool recreational area. These are actual photos that I was showing you here of the land and of the area that my photographer took with the drone. So I'll get into this in more detail here in a second. But again, giving you a bird's eye view on a map, this is what we're looking at right here. And I want to show you the property on satellite imagery real quick first, so you have an idea of what we're looking at. Here's each 20 acre property right here. I have them highlighted in yellow. You can see the differentiation there. So we have 4 20 acre lots out here in Douglas County, Washington. They all have access from this Jeep trail. And then this one down here in the corner, this first 20 acre does have access off Peach Road too, down here in the corner. So again, access to all of these properties comes in off this Jeep trail. This is a dedicated easement. And then you can access all of the 20 acre properties on this. You know, I would consider it a Jeep trail. You're probably not going to take a little compact car up it. Think 4x4, pickup trucks, SUVs, things like that. You could probably work with a contractor and blade that, make it a little bit nicer. But I always thought this would be a cool property to put, you know, I think down here for this property would be, you have a ton of usable space down here. There's a little riverine that runs through here, but it looks dry as can be. So that's not something I'd worry about a lot. You'd think a culvert or, you know, some sort of development, you'd put a driveway right over that. And you've got a really nice area to build or develop down here. On this property, if you wanted 40 acres, I thought these two would go really well together. These 2 first properties, and I thought these 2 back properties would go really well together or sell really well individually by themselves. And so I'll pull up the photos to show you what we're looking at as well. But I think, again, you know, access comes in on these properties off of Peach Road down here. There might even be street views, but you can see we're in the Metho Valley. It's a beautiful part of the country. If you like recreating at Lake Chelan, you like recreating in central Washington, just outside of the Cascade Mountain Range, this is going to offer a really great spot to either build or just simply park a camper up here or do some tent camping. So the access coming off Peach Road to these properties, you can see this road right here, kind of like a Jeep trail, but it brings you into you know, these properties. And I think, you know, there's little building sites, you know, perched up right here. And they're all sitting on a bench. you've got some really awesome views from these properties up here. Like I said, I think these first two properties, you can definitely do some dirt work and probably build right in here or build right in here, carve out a space for just an RV and run some power to the property or do something solar off grid, right? So I think these are a couple of usable areas just to the north of the road here, just above the road. But as you go further on these 220 acres, it really flattens out. And there's a lot of usable space like right in here and right here before you get to this cliff line. Okay, so like let's measure this out. I think this last property is actually really cool because it does have a ton of usable area. I can draw the measurement here and we can see there's about 2 acres of usable space right there. And then even above the road right here turns out to be really well too. So I like these back two properties a lot because you have this flat space. Like you could come in right here with like lay some gravel down and just do car camping, an RV setup, or maybe a tiny home. This cliff line is a really cool feature in the landscape, and it's going to offer some really nice views. And then above this property too is a lot of gentle flat space as well. So I'll measure this out for you. These back two properties. Measure, something like that out to see how much acreage that gives you. About a little over half an acre. That's a lot of land if you're just looking to do a tiny home, some sort of yurt, an off-grid structure, or a camper. That's a decent chunk of land. And like I said, these back two properties, I think this is really usable topography all the way above the road too. So that looks like really usable topography. This might be the best property of all of them, this one, the back one, and then the front run too. I like this front property because it does have access off of Peach Road right there. And I think the second 20 acre right here has probably more usable space like above the road. You're going to probably develop, maybe bring a road in up through here and develop on this little peak. That's where I'd put my driveway, and I'd probably turn that around and I'd have this section for building or a camper, whatever your usable space is going to be. A little bit of dirt work goes a long way. It's not uncommon. But yeah, I think these first two would pair really well together. Otherwise, I think down here is a really good usable section on this first 20. The second 20, I really see this as a usable section. These last two 20s, I like this section down here. I think that's going to be ready to use. I think this is ready to use. Then you go above it, and these are really nice too. The property offers some really cool topography too. So if you go further, I guess this would be east or above the road, you're going to get some really cool rock outcroppings and some really nice topography there. You go below the road, you've got this cliff line. You're going to have really nice unobstructed views heading towards Lake Chelan, looking at the Cascade Mountain Range, looking at the Columbia River. I mean, so when you're looking in this direction, you're looking west. And if we zoom out, you're looking right at the Columbia River right here. And then obviously into Lake Chelan and then the Cascade Mountain Range. So the views are going to be really, really nice of the North Cascades, Lake Chelan, and the Columbia River from the top bench of this property. So you've seen this on satellite imagery. Let me talk about some of the easements now too. So we've gone through the work, written up an easement. This is accessible right here. This is that easement off Peach Road that brings you to these 4 properties that we're selling. And we've, dedicated an easement to all 4 of those properties through a surveyor out there locally. I want to show you another map. This is Peach Road down here. And then this is the access easement we've been looking at on satellite imagery. And it goes right through these 4 20-acre properties that we own. The last thing I wanted to show you was just giving you a bird's eye view looking at it like this. Again, this is Peach Road. This is the access easement off that. And it takes you onto all 4 20-acre properties we're selling, or a total of 80 acres, right? That can be sold or bought together. And then Peach Road comes down here in the corner of this property, giving you access down to the lower section of this first 20-acre property. This is the last thing, just going through the parcel IDs. This is a parent property, the 80-acre. We actually went through an exempt segregation process or a subdivision split, creating 4 new 20-acre lots. Here at Wilco, we're in the business of moving land fast. So if somebody wants all 80 acres, 60, 40, we're willing to cut some sort of deal and get some properties sold. Otherwise, like I said, I think the target audience for these properties is, hey, I want a recreational spot, look close to Lake Chelan, close to the Cascade Mountain Range, things like that. These are photos, like I said, drone photos of the property. You can see Peach Road and stuff. You can see the road coming through ours. So this is actually that Jeep trail coming through our properties. You can see that right here, right? So you can see there's nice trees on the property. This is Peach Road down here. Let's keep looking through some photos. And this is a spring. So let me show you this. There's a spring on our properties. And I just want to show you where that's located just to give you a bearing. It's not on our properties, but this is Patty Big Spring. Okay. So probably about from our last 20-acre lot, that's about a quarter mile, 1,500 feet. Okay. And so if I go back to the photos, that's a spring, and you can see the Jeep trail coming by it, I believe. Or sorry, it's to the south of it. You see the two track coming to the south of it? Um, so our properties are over here. See, our properties are going to be like right in here. And then here's the rock outcroppings up top. Okay. So these photos do a really good job of identifying what you're buying. Here's that two track that I'm talking about that goes through our properties. Really good look of it there. Here it is again coming through. I don't know exactly where this is located, to be quite honest with you. Um, in retrospect of satellite imagery, but this is Peach Road down here, and it winds around and it brings you up onto our properties. So these photos do a pretty good job actually of giving us an idea of what we're buying. Between that, here's a good photo too. Looking up at the rock outcroppings from a drone, it looks like. There's power right here. This is actually a really good photo too. You can see that cliff line. You can see it's mostly flat up on top of that cliff line. Do you see that? There's some good vegetation on the property. As I zoom in, it's really not that steep along that road, right? So it's mostly flat in this area that I've been talking about. Yes, you have these outcroppings up there. You've got this flat space. This looks like the first 20-acre property that we're looking at down here. It's dry as a bone. I don't know what the county will say about a little riverine running through it. I'm guessing you can put a culvert in. You'll have to do your own due diligence on that, but this is a really nice, large, usable section, and power utilities are basically right at the corner of these properties. Here's another good look. Here's that spring that we're talking about. Here's the road coming into our properties. This is probably some of our land right here that you're looking at. Okay, again, this is some of our land that you're looking at on the back 20 acres or back 40 acres. So if you're looking at that, that's probably what this looks like right here, this section right here. Okay, just trying to help you get your bearings on what you're looking at in terms of the land investment. Again, this is like that back 40. As we come in a little bit, on these first 20s, it probably looks at that rock outcroppings a little bit more like that. But again, pretty cool topography, nice trees on the property, right? You're gonna have some nice views. So, that sums up, what we're advertising here, right? These are going to be the views you're looking at. There's a Columbia River. You've got the Cascade Mountain Range out here in the distance. You've got Lake Chelan right around the corner. Beautiful part of the country. Like I said, the main target audience here is going to be something you can just bring your camper to tomorrow. You can start tent camping. There's no restrictions on camping. Bring a tiny home up here. Bring a storage container. Bring a yurt up here, right? These are some pretty cool recreational properties. It's a great landing point if you want to be close to Chelan and the North Cascades and the Columbia River, right? So you can look into development and building. You'll have to work with a county or a builder on that. So in terms of viewing the property, we talked a lot about satellite imagery on this property. I like to use Onyx Maps. This is my favorite app for land viewings. All you're going to do is plug the GPS coordinates in here. This first 20 acre, you could park down at Peach Road and walk onto this property and take a look at it. You can look at all these properties from down here below that cliff line. If you want to go drive up on the cliff line, you're going to come around Peach Road up here. You're going to take this easement onto our property. So Onyx Maps isn't updated with all the ownership changes and all the splits that we've done. So imagine, this is the full 80-acre property right here. I'll outline it. So this is what we own if you're using Onyx Hunt to go view the property, which I really like using this app. It does show property lines. So, if you can imagine, all of our properties are split, every 20 acres is split like that. And I can measure out the distance in all these 20-acre lots to give you an idea of what you're looking at here. So the width of each lot is going to be approximately 340 feet. About a little over a football field, about a football field and a first down is going to be the width of all these lots. So you're working with a lot of space. That's a lot of land, in terms of width. So that's what you're looking at. If you get to, if you want to go view, you can feel out natural features in the landscape too. You can see this band of trees right here. It kind of opens up, right? So that's what I tell folks too. It's like you're on this cliff line basically right there. Then you hit the third property and it starts to veer up. and then comes across to the last one. So you can look for natural features in the landscape to help you identify these properties. You kind of know when you hit Peach Road down here at this driveway, you're at the corner of this first property. So little things like that can help with your land viewings too. If you have interest in other properties here, if you have questions, we're happy to help. We do offer seller financing and a little bit more of a self-service model. If you have questions, you're unsure how to view the property, just get with us. I'm happy to help you out with any high-level questions. If you are interested in buying something here, just get with us. We do have other properties in Washington listed on the website. Take a peek at the homepage if you're interested in something else. I've got some stuff out in Morton, Washington, near Mount Rainier. I've got some stuff, waterfront property on the Cowlitz River, down in Randall, Washington. So again, yeah, take a peek at the website. There's going to be other land deals you can find in Washington, like Matt's Bay, places like that up in Port Ludlow. So again, Miles McLaughlin here with Wilco Land, tuning out with you. Thanks for viewing it in and reaching out to us anytime here at 605-299-5553. Thank you.